Welcome to Shiloh Farm. I want you to come in here and let's love the Word of God today. Enjoy it. Have fellowship one with another. You know, you are so good about encouraging me and letting me know how the Word is ministering to you and how you feel lifted up in your spirit each day. And even how when the Lord corrects us in His Word, how He does it in such a loving way, we don't even know that we're being corrected. So I want us to enjoy what we do each day. It's not a dread. It's not something you don't want to do. Now, the flesh will fight you. The enemy will fight you, but it's in your heart that you really want and desire and hunger and thirst for His truth, for His Word. So let's get into it. I want to share some nuggets with you before we get started in 1 Peter, the 3rd chapter. And it's about how, sometimes when God surprises us with good things, when He brings blessings our way, benefits our way, I was talking to a friend of mine this weekend on the phone, and she has just come out of surgery, and she was talking and bragging about God, about how she should have been on pain meds for a long time because she's already had this surgery before, and she was in such a mess before, and how they had to redo the surgery and correct it, and said, you know what, it's not been anything that was before. I mean, God has graciously helped me that I don't even have to take the pain meds that everybody expected me to take. I thought about whenever I had the 4 major surgeries with cancer, and how on the other side I could not take pain meds, narcotics at all, because of a former addiction of years ago before I accepted Christ. And it was really crazy because God carried me, and He done the unexpected. And so we sometimes are shocked because He does the unexpected, because He brings good things to us, because He showers us with gifts. We come out better than we ever did in the beginning, and we're shocked and surprised and can't believe He did it. Well, if you're out there planting seeds, if you're out there sowing seeds, if you're out there tithing, if you're out there doing the commands of God, if you're out there trying to please the Lord, if you're trying to do things right, those things are supposed to come to us. They're not supposed to surprise us. It's not to shock us. Oh, look what God did in my life. I'm so shocked because, I don't deserve it. If you're out there doing, none of us deserves those things God gives us, but it's His mercy and His grace. But if we're out there doing and out there willingly and out there obeying God, those things are going to come to us. So then why are we shocked? Or why are we surprised? Or why do we even feel guilty? Sometimes I have heard people say, I can't even enjoy the blessings of God. I feel so guilty because everybody's going to think that I've got all this coming to me, and there they are, they're not getting it. Listen, favor surrounds those who listens and does the voice and the bidding of God. Favor comes and surrounds you, so why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you see the blessings of the Lord? And I'm going to give some word, because David wrote in Psalm 63, verse 3, he says, because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips shall praise you. He says, because your steadfast love, you're consistent, God, in your love. You are always there. You are faithful, dedicated in your love to me. He says, it's better than life. So God, your love surrounding me is better than life. So it's better. It's better. That's my word for this year. And then Paul even brings it out in Philippians 1:23. I love this one. This is a favorite of mine. He says, my desire is to depart and to be with Christ, for it is far better. It is far better. So Paul is saying it's a far better life for me to be with Christ. And David says it's better than life. So we've got good things coming our way. And we're supposed to have good things coming our way only because of His love and mercy. Oh, we don't deserve any of that, but because of His love. Because of His love, He gives us those blessings, those benefits. And because of our love for Him, because of our obedience to Him, our desire to please God, He gives it to us, so we shouldn't feel guilty. It is His honor to give to us. It is our honor to please Him. And so I want you to walk in that little gold nugget today that David says is better than life. And then Paul speaks and he says, oh, it's far better. It's far better. So we've got a lot coming our way. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't sit there and say, I don't deserve all this. Oh, no, we don't. But I'm telling you, it's his love toward us. He will surround us with his blessings, with his favor. He has put a hedge about us. And so I want us to be grateful. And he does give to those who have a grateful heart. Oh, he just pours out on those who are thankful, who are grateful, who are humbled over his givings. And so I want you to take that nugget. That's how we're going to start this off. Now, in 1 Peter 3, chapter 3, this whole chapter is talking about submission, suffering, and also how we are supposed to treat other people. Now, I'm going to tell you, chapter 3 is full of something we've got to do our homework on. I like Peter because he makes it simple. I was reading this chapter and I said, I don't even have to explain anything. It's self-explanatory. We have heard of so many testimonies of how people have lived with someone all their lives and they were not Christians. But the person that was a sinner watched the wife, the husband watched the wife, and through all the years, they would, on their deathbed, would end up accepting Christ. And I've got a true story of that. A dear friend of mine, 40-something years in a marriage, and anything that you could do to her, but she held on to her faith. She held on to what she believed and lived a godly example in front of him. And there was times that, when it called to submission, it was very difficult because it crossed the lines, and she had to say, okay, God, what do I do so I keep my testimony and I don't become a blame to the gospel? And do you know, after 40-something years, at the end of him taking his last breath, she was able to lead him to the Lord. After all she suffered, and do you know, she said, I didn't regret one thing. I could not regret one thing because I had the opportunity to lead him to the Lord. Now, that doesn't always happen. It doesn't always work that way. There are times that you have to make a decision because it's a safe decision, it's the right decision, or there's times when you've had a decision made for you and you have to walk in that too. What we're saying, though, is like he has talked in the first chapter and second, whatever you do unto the Lord. You have to do unto the Lord. You have to walk this out. Nobody can walk in your shoes. Nobody can tell you or predict to you or make you do anything. You have to walk this walk out unto the Lord. And so let's begin to read this. In the first scripture, in the first chapter 3, in verse 1, it says, in the same way, you wives must accept the authority of your husbands. Then even if some refuse to obey the good news, your godly lives will speak to them without any words. Your godly life will speak to them. You don't have to speak. Your life speaks for you. They will be won over by observing your pure and reverent lives. Verse 3, it says, don't be concerned about the outward appearance, the beauty of fancy hairstyles, expensive jewelry, or beautiful clothes. You should clothe yourselves instead with the beauty that comes from within, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is so precious to God. It's not the outside. It's not all the outside. It's what's on the inside, what makes it pleasing unto the Lord. And he says this is how the holy women of old made themselves beautiful. They put their trust in God and accepted the authority of their husbands. For instance, Sarah obeyed her husband, Abraham, and called him her master. Now listen, this is a nugget to take with you, and there's one for the men today too. It says, you are her daughters when you do what is right without fear of what your husbands might do. Do it without fear of what your husbands might do. So listen, There are times I've had women to contact me and says, how can I pay my tithes because my husband doesn't believe in tithes? How do I do this? Listen, whatever you do unto the Lord, do it in honesty and in truth, but don't do it in a lie. Don't be fearful so much that you do a lie, that it pushes you to a lie. I've had people to tell me things that, because of the actions of their husbands and their sinners, it ends up pushing them to do things that is displeasing unto the Lord. And so you don't want to be living in that threatening. You don't want to be under a submission to something that will cause you to push you into a lie. Say, God, how can I work this out? How can I do this that's pleasing unto you and that my husband can see a godly an example? In verse 7, it says, husbands, in the same way, you husbands must give honor to your wives. And we see in Ephesians, Paul speaks, and he says, that the husband is to love the wife as Christ loved the church. What a challenge to the men and women today in the marriages that we're hearing. And he says, treat your wife with understanding as you live together. She may be weaker than you are, but she is your equal partner in God's gift of a new life. Treat her as you should, so your prayers will not be hindered. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Treat her with love, with respect, so your prayers are not hindered. Some of you men might be saying, oh my goodness, I just can't break through with heaven. I don't know why I can't get a breakthrough. I don't know how. God don't how you treating your wife. And so that's a nugget to take with you today. Oh my goodness, now it's for everybody. In verse 8, it's for all Christians. We're all supposed to listen now. It says, finally, all of you should be of one mind. Sympathize with each other. When you're around people, do you hurt for them? Do you feel for them? Do you want to see changes for them? There are people that are there in your life because they want to change. There are people in your life that you can help change. At the same time, there are people in your life that you can't. You just have to give them to God and say, God, I hurt for them. I want to see change for them. It even says down here, it says sympathize with each other, love each other as brothers and sisters. And listen, that goes a long way because, brothers and sisters, when you were growing up, you fuss and fight. And now as you get older, you still may be feuding, or it still means that, you love them, you appreciate them, but listen, it says that be tenderhearted and keep a humble attitude. Don't repay evil for evil. Don't go out there and say, because of what you did to me, I'm going to turn around and do something worse to you. Oh, no, let God be the one that does the vengeance. Let God be the judge. Let him be just. Let him be fair in this. And he says, don't retaliate with insults when people insult you. That's why a lot of times you'll see me just sit there. When people say something, they amaze me. They do not have filters on their mouth and they don't care. They just really don't care. And I sit there and I say, I cannot believe you just said that to me. I cannot believe you got the guts to sit there and let that come out of your mouth. Oh my goodness. If I'd have said that, God would have struck me dead. And he says, but don't turn around because they've insulted you. They've said something about you. They have judged you wrongfully, or they have accused you of something you've not done, or they've corrected you or thought they put you in your place. Don't turn around and insult them and do the same thing. That's why a lot of times I'll just sit there and I will not say anything. Now, look, you can't help what goes through your mind. You can't help what you might want to think you want to do, but you can't do that. It's not pleasing unto the Lord. He said, instead, pay them back with a blessing. Wow. Come on, Peter. Are you kidding me? Oh, my goodness. But that's what the word says. And so, you know what? In my journal that I write every day, you'll see me, I'll say, God, now so-and-so, they said this and they did that and they accused me of this and I didn't do that. If I did do something, I'm going to own up to you and I'm going to tell you. But if it didn't happen that way, I'm not going to accept it. I'm not going to take what you see through your eyes and out of your heart and out of your blame. I'm not going to accept the things that I didn't do. If I did, I will correct it. I will correct it. But he says, pay them back with a blessing. I've got in my journal, oh God, now you know what so-and-so said. You know how he done, and you know what she did, and you know what happened there. God bless them. The hardest thing sometimes is to write that down or to even say that. But it's like, okay, God, but your word says, you know who's going to be the better person? Not the one who thought they put someone in their place. The better person is the person who does it God's way. And then he says, that is what God has called you to do, and he will grant you blessing. He will grant you a blessing for your obedience. Now I'm going to stop right there, and we're going to start next. The next video would be with verse 10. You hold your hand and you'll place there so you'll know where we get started. But God says, you know, what do you do? Be careful what you do. Be submission unto God, and he'll let all these other things fall in place. It might be difficult, it might be tough, it might be unreasonable sometimes, and sometimes it's like, are you kidding me? That is just ridiculous. But God, if you will honor him, put him first in your life, then God will help you walk out and in discernment, walk out in wisdom and in knowledge what you're supposed to do best. That is for you. And if you take care of you, then it helps bleeds over on other people. People are watching us. People are looking at us. When you say you're a Christian and you wear a t-shirt and you've got a cross around your neck, you better know that somebody's watching you today. Listen, remember what David said. It's better than life. But then remember what Paul said, oh, it's far better. What we've got coming to us is far better. In the name of the Lord, God bless you.